I've seen this sort of trend on YouTube recently where TCG creators have been making a documentation series of them designing their own trading card games. And seeing that, I'm currently in a state of designing a TCG myself. I thought that I would share this process with all of you for the sake of your enjoyment and to inspire you. I also want to look back on this anytime I want to see the game and how it has progressed. So let me get started. I've been making and designing trading card games ever since I was 4 years old, and although there have been many large hiatuses in between that time, this passion, it just seems that out of all my hobbies, whether they're RPGs, board games, or video games, or even playing other TCGs like Magic, I always come back to the core idea of making my own homemade trading card game. Having that control and that passion and just having fun with it. That's the first thing you should ask yourself when designing a game. Why do you want to create it? On the surface, you might just want to create a game to sell it on the Game Crafter or make it for your friends, or if you maybe even have bigger dreams to take it far. But remember that having a deeper, more meaningful passion to make this game will allow you to have more purpose to make it past the first set. Many TCGs often fail because they're either rushed out, their creators thought the game was not good enough, or they just slowly died off. So keep in mind, if you want a successful TCG and have fun making it, you really need to, in fact, contribute lots of commitment to it and put more thought into it. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to make a TCG today. It'll probably die out. You need to really think about it. When I first started with TCGs, I would make so many cards a day. None of the rules or balancing ever really mattered to me. I was just having fun with it. And it's only been recently that I started to take my art more seriously, and I've become more of a perfectionist. I've been jumping from game to game recently, and I know that's rather frustrating for my viewers. I went through so many card games, starting out with Epic Underworlds, which was more of a digital game than my later games like Perpetual Cosmos, and now Perpetual Cosmos 2.0, which I'll show you right now. And now I'm making a new game, which I wasn't happy with Perpetual Cosmos 2.0, so I'm making a new version of that game. And I don't know if I'm going to be calling it the same thing, but this one I really want to stick with and put lots of time and thought into it and quality. The goal of this game is to reinvent the idea of a TCG. I want to change almost every common trope that there are in TCGs and put my own twist on it or reinvent it completely. First thing I did was take out my notebook and jot down ideas. Board overview, types of cards, ability ideas, and character designs. I even did it in class, my math class, because I was just so excited to get down in making the game. One of the major things I wanted to focus on was the expression in my art. Recently, I've been making a lot more emotional cards than ever before, with cards that tie into some more sometimes sensitive topics of mental states and situations. Now, when making this video, I thought that a lot of people would call these ideas cringe, but in the end of the day, making a TCG is not just making a game for other people to enjoy, but you bringing out a part of yourself and learning about yourself too. A path I'm not looking to follow for making this game is to gain lots of money and fame through it. I just want to do it simply to create. I think that's something that's been sort of lost in recent times. And it's totally fine if you want to make a game to make money. In fact, that can often be a major driver for many people. But for me, I just want this to be a side project that brings me joy to my life. I think anyone can make expressionless cards like a simple Fireball Ogre Soldier, but it takes more thought and complexity to design arts that truly capture emotions and make your players think. During this time, I was also delving into the works of famous painters and artists such as Van Gogh, a painter who was made fun of during his time for his own unique style, but he still created, even in his mental hospital. This is what it feels like to be an artist. It's a sense to take a leap and go against what has already been done, to bring out something that you have rawly created and can call your own, or to express something that you would not normally be able to express in words. What I really enjoy in TCGs is a sense of beauty and world building, and that's what I'm trying to design in this new game. So I sat down with all these new ideas and journaled a bit about more themes of the TCG, and eventually I came up with the idea that there would be different types of cards in my game, similar to Magic the Gathering with types of mountain and swamp, but for my game I wanted to do something more deeper. Many people flock to religion or beliefs to inspire them to do well in life and to give them a sense of purpose, and so I thought the idea of philosophy types would fit well into my card game. There would be the peace type, symbolized by a lotus icon, that could be put in any deck. Then there would be a greed type, which would have more of a gamble playstyle with some luck and chance. Other types included control, combo, aggro. That way players could build their decks with up to 2 different types of these philosophies, including the neutral faction of peace, personalize their own deck to almost their beliefs, or if they just wanted to make a deck with their favorite cards. Now that the types were settled, it was time to move on to template design. But template design is extremely complex. You have to make it easy enough to make hand-drawn, but you also want it complex enough to capture a sense of style. I knew it would take many renditions, so I started sketching out new ideas, and many of them did not work out, but I finally landed a template I liked and started filling in more specifics. The stack of 3 coins right here represents the cost of the card, and cost is generated by your belief card. And there would be different spiritual leaders or philosophical leaders who would basically give you 4 different options, or maybe even more, of resources to choose. Maybe you could gain 4 resources this turn, or sacrifice a creature to them, and they'd give you 5. But that was just the main idea, and that was taken from my previous card game, Perpetual Cosmos, where it was called the Soul Trader, but I'm going to be putting a little bit more of a twist on it in this version. And this little pile of 2 cards here represents the number of copies of that card you can have in your deck. This would also help, so I would not need to make a major ban list or anything yet. This will also replace rarities. I have drifted away from the gambling style of rarities you get in packs of cards. I like the idea of every card having worth and not being defined by a rarity label. I know this can be a set-off buying the actual game, but it's just something I wasn't into. But it's something I was trying to do different. Next was the attack stat, or aka the combat values. Now in many TCGs there's an attack and life value, but for my game I wanted to keep it simple and just have one kind of attack and life value number. This would represent the creature's strength in their belief, or how well they wanted to survive in a certain situation. As many good TCG creators realize, the complexity in your TCG should not come from the rules themselves, but the card abilities themselves. That way new players can add simple cards like draw 1 card when played, whereas more advanced players can add cards like when played deal X amount of damage to up to 3 creatures your opponent controls, where X is equal to the number of creatures your opponent currently has. Now again, that's not that complicated, but again, in the current state of Magic, there's a lot of very complicated abilities, and that's something that often negates new players from getting into TCGs. So I wanted each set to have some simple abilities, but also some complex abilities for more veteran players. I also want to include flavor text onto each card to add more depth and lore to them. So when players had a bit of time, maybe in their match when their opponent was going, they could just read just a little snippet of that character's life and feel a connection to that card. This gave games a more sense of realism that many enjoy. As far as what I would be naming the set, I decided to name it after a song that evokes deep beauty and emotion for me. This Feeling by One Heart always makes me think of Eternal Wonder, and so that'll be the name of set 1. And I don't even like calling it set 1, I just want it to be a set. A set of cards that represent something deep. The set will include at least 100 cards to jumpstart playtesting, and I plan on selling it in the Game Crafter eventually, but again, this is a handmade game, so it'll take quite a bit of time. Game Crafter is a wonderful publishing company where you can turn your ideas into reality, so I'll be really excited to use that again. As far as why I'm choosing a hand-drawn style for my game, it's because I feel more appreciation towards it. I've made many digital games in the past, but none of them had felt as rewarding as making it a homemade trading card game. Hand-drawn art is something that digital art does not give me. It's a sense of realism. Think about it. In a digital art, you can make a mistake and you can easily change it to perfection. But if you make a mistake in the physical medium, you have to live with it and almost accept it for what it is. Beauty such as nature has imperfections, and that is why it is so beautiful. To wrap up this video, I just wanted to share my thanks to all of you for tuning in and watching this video. And if you have any questions about your game or game design, you can comment them down below, and if I am able to respond to them, I will try. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, night, or evening, and I will see you in the next video.